Insurance is not sexy, but it's important and it's a big business. So, why are insurance carriers leaving Florida and California? And what's the future of our customer experience when filing claims? That's why my guest this week is Denise Taylor, COO and co founder of SnapRefund. SnapRefund empowers insurance businesses with a digital payment platform that streamlines the claim payment process for claims teams and their policyholders. That's us. He comes from Philly, just like me, and is currently in Techstars Boulder this summer. So I cannot wait for this conversation. But first, welcome to this week's episode of Make Sense, a video podcast that simplifies complex issues at the intersection of tech and people. There are a lot of them. So whether you're totally hyped on artificial intelligence and ready for that robot takeover, or you want to crawl into a cave after deleting all of your social media accounts, I'm here with my guests to help make sense of what's going on so you can design yourself into the future. My name is Lindsay. I'm a product market fit strategist, innovation consultant, and venture fundraising advisor. If you're new here, subscribe on YouTube or wherever you get your podcasts. So let's make sense of the future of insurance. Anise, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me today, Lindsay.
Yeah, I'm excited to throw down with another Philly person like me, hoping we have a nice, real conversation.
Indeed.
So let's start with our first segment, Crystal Ball. What does the future hold? This is where I call out interesting predictions for this year, and the experts, my guests, tell us their hot takes. So I'm going to rapid fire some headlines. And Anise, I want you to say, if you know something about this, say, yes, that is happening, or no, that is not happening, or give us something in between, like the timeline is more like 5 to 10 years, not this year. If you don't know anything about it, just say like, yeah, I want that to happen, or no, I really don't want that to happen. Okay, you got it? You ready?
I got it.
Okay, so fintech startups are facing the rockiest market conditions right now. And so they are catering to the enterprise. I think this is a softball pitch over the home plate for you. Tell me what's up.
Oh, future today. It's happening. It's been happening yesterday. Today, it will happen in the future. I think just the value of working with enterprise companies is just, it really validates your product, especially when trying to go to the market. So having those deals in place, yes, it's going to continue to happen.
And you think it's like it's a good thing. It's not
I
just
think it's a great thing. I
yeah.
think it's a great thing. I mean, really, the objective with progression is that you want to consistently get better.
Mm-hmm.
And as humans, we've been getting better, and now we have the help of the robots and AI. And I mean, you haven't seen anything yet. Just the level and amount of technology that's going to make your day to day life so much easier. And you're going to be grateful in those moments when it does get easier. That's why it's a yes.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so insurance. I'm curious what you know because many flood insurers are pulling out of markets like Florida and California. The prediction is that climate risk insurers have to develop innovative ways to deal with risk and claims processing. Do you know
Yes.
anything about this?
That is the future. That's going to happen. It's happening now, but in a light mode. And this is what's known as parametric insurance. So parametric insurance is actually automating this process where if something is happening, all it has to do is hit certain metrics and the claims payment is validated, it's approved, and it's adjudicated. And so being able to have systems in place to automate that, that's what the future is going to hold. And that's what we're looking to do at SnapRefund is build
Yes.
that out.
So let's slow down for a second. Parametric insurance? Would you say parametric claims? What'd you call it?
I did call it parametric insurance, yes.
What is parametric insurance?
So what parametric really, it describes a type of insurance contract that insurers are a policyholder against like the occurrence of a specific event. So let's say an earthquake or a flood. And by when this event happened, they pay a set amount based on the magnitude of the event.
Okay. So like there's a flood. I have flood insurance. I don't have to file a claim. There is a standard payout my insurer is going to send me because the flood rose to XYZ level.
Yep, and you're in this location where it happened, in the radius of where this happened, which is in, our formula that we're building out, or the company is building out. And yeah, you fit into that and you're approved.
That makes a lot of sense because they can skip a lot of paperwork, right? If they just
Without
give
it.
everyone in this one flood zone a flat payment, it's better because if they had to process every single one of those claims, the paperwork in the back end and the man hours to go through all of that, it costs so much money. So we might as well just do a blank, not a blank check, but like a blanket payment to everyone in that area. That's
You're so right. And I think as the industry grows, these are the type of insurance and the type of businesses that's going to rise as well. Because once people start learning about how convenient it is, especially with the end process of getting paid and having a
seriously, if
platform.
my insurance just sent me a check, that's the future I want. We're going to design that into the future.
And Lindsay, why should you not? When you have an earthquake, when you have a flood, you don't have time to, if you're paying your monthly bill on time every month, now I have to chase you for my money back when this catastrophic event just happened. And you know it happened. You know, every metric that you need to be reached, it has reached or has surpassed.
Yeah,
And so this is the future that we're looking at.
I love that. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love that. Any other interesting ways we're going to deal with like risk and claims processing based on
Oh,
climate?
there's all types. There's all types of ways. I mean, just with the gig economy and having to automate that process for the gig workers that's in those spaces or that
Mhm.
have coverage, it I mean, the technology sky is really the limits,
Cool.
and it's going to be those companies that's going to rise to the occasion and serve them and really make it easy
Yeah,
and seamless for them to build a business.
cool. All right. So this is a new to me topic. The embedded insurance will redefine the role insurance plays in people's lives. So what is embedded insurance, and do
Yeah,
you think it's going to redefine the role insurance plays in people's lives?
it has. Let me ask you a
It already
question. Have you bought an airplane ticket or gone somewhere and at the end of the airplane ticket, the checkout, you see, well, would you like to add this insurance in case you
Yeah,
missed a flight or something? Have you
that's
seen that?
embedded
That
insurance.
is embedded insurance. So
Yeah.
being able to really simplify that onboarding process where it's like, hey, I have an opportunity to sell them a policy right here, right now. And it's so seamless.
And you see that
Um,
on eBay, you see that on Amazon, Best Buy, like a lot of places, especially where you're buying electronics, right?
Yeah, yeah. You see it all over the place, and it's going to continue to happen. And yeah, it's exciting. And I think once the end user, the policyholder, actually has a great experience, if it comes time for them to actually go through with the insurance,
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's a lot of value to that.
This is a reminder for me. I got charged a $200 cancellation fee, and I need to follow up with my insurance company. That was part
There
of a
you go.
purchase.
There you
Okay.
go.
You think we're going to start to see even more of it the way we've started to see like Klarna and like buy like payment, everything comes in payments now. So we're also going to see options to insure.
Yeah.
We're going to need like an insurance wallet so I can remember what I insured.
What's happening now is that the smartphone is giving you access to all these immediate tools that make your life so much easier, and insurance is a big part of your day-to-day life,
Okay,
and being able to have access to it through your smartphone. Yeah, you're going to see all types of innovative products coming out.
cool. So speaking of our smartphones, specific to Apple, Apple has been rumored to be launching health insurance in 2024 because they can leverage data from devices like Apple Watch. Do we want that?
I think that's a great question. I want it. And for in terms of I'm an Apple user, I'm connected to my Apple computer, my Apple phone, my iPhone, my iWatch. If the health insurance fit the level of quality that I was looking for, not price point, but real quality at an affordable rate, and it just made it so easy for me to go through the process and I can go to a doctor, it would be a shame if Apple solved that problem within our healthcare system. So, it's
Would
a
be
good
a shame or it would be a good idea?
it would be a good idea, but I'm hoping that before an Apple comes around to solve this, which I think they would be able to because they're coming out. I hope we would start to get better healthcare insurance for everyone.
Yeah.
So I don't mean to say it in a way that it's a shame, but I say it in a way that Apple is actually giving our healthcare industry competition to say, hey, look, we're coming because the banking industry is watching Apple right now.
Right.
And Apple now is probably going to end up being one of the biggest banks in the world.
Right.
So
With Apple Pay and
with
everything.
Apple Pay, absolutely. And so, yes, it's a great thing. So to say, yes, it's the future. I would, if it fits for me, I would get Apple Healthcare. And yeah, that's where things are going.
Yeah, I think oh, I think it's a complicated one, and I could probably have an entire episode around, if Apple can do it, then Google's going to do it because Google owns Fitbit.
Yeah.
And I already have some weird feelings about connecting my Fitbit account to my Google account. I haven't done it yet. You can see I'm wearing my Fitbit. I haven't done that transition, even though now they're making it impossible for me to talk to my friends on Fitbit unless I connect my Google account. And so I do wonder about, the patient privacy and HIPAA, but I do agree with you that it's having worked in health insurance claims processing uh, and going through that trauma. I was successful in the projects I worked on, but I've been writing about it on LinkedIn lately, just how big of a mess health insurance payers are and their back end systems. I do agree with you. Seeing some competition from the likes of Apple or Google would maybe light some fire under their butts to make some long-standing changes that they've have been dragging their feet to make over the past 2 or 3 decades. So
The industry has been comfortable. They've been very comfortable, and
too
it's
comfortable.
great that you know companies can come in and actually build out these solutions that can fit for what the consumer is looking for.
Yeah,
And when it comes to healthcare, healthcare is a big part of it. For
right.
me, the way I would look at it is really one being health conscious is that the way if it could provide me with vital information that I know that can help me be healthier, live a longer lifestyle, and just fit everything where I don't have to worry about the cost and coverage and
Right.
how's figuring all these out and doing it in a really beautiful, seamless way that doesn't seem over invading, I think, is where the future is headed.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And in the episodes of Make Sense, where I've talked to doctors and those in health tech, we talk about ambient health monitoring and remote patient monitoring being a way for us to accommodate the fact that we have this tragic healthcare worker shortage. And we've been talking about preemptive or preventative care for a long time. So if we're already wearing these for whatever vanity metrics like how many steps I walk per day, if you can use that to also alert me to any other problems or health issues I should take advantage of, that would be great. I just hope it wouldn't be used against us in like
Yeah,
our insurance premiums. If we get a little
that
lazy or have some down days.
you know what that's a really valid point. That is a really valid point, and it's to be seen.
Yeah.
But I think really one voicing your concern and making sure that it doesn't get to that point and really building and knowing that you have a voice in setting those guidelines as this future is being built.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes sense is
Use
for,
it.
right? Is so that we all
hmm
understand what it means for Apple to enter the health insurance.
Yeah, without a doubt.
And
Absolutely.
I can't help but draw the similarity between if you're using your Apple Watch for Apple to provide you health insurance, isn't that similar to like the car insurance companies that are using your driving history if you install something in your car or have an app on
They're,
your phone and stuff?
they're doing that now.
Yeah, there
Yeah,
are that. So it's kind of similar. It's like if you give us a certain amount of data about the way you are as a driver, we will give you a more accurate insurance premium price, right? And so it'd be the same with an Apple or any other IoT device in the health insurance space.
yeah. It's going to make quite an interesting future. But what I really love and I'm bullish about the future is there's going to be innovative companies that are going to come in that are going to be really nimble enough to find that niche vertical that really makes sense, whether it's in the healthcare
Mhm.
industry, whatever part of insurance it's going to be, and actually make those changes.
Yeah,
Those are the companies that you really should be watching out for because these new AI, learn language, all these different tools that are coming out are really making it easier for companies to come in and innovate if they're innovative enough.
yeah, yeah. So one of the things I like about what you guys are doing is, pushing on some antiquated pieces of different parts of from different industries. So we're going to go into our next segment, the deep dive. In this segment, we're going to get into the details about a specific technology's implications for everyday people. I'll be honest, I said it at the top of the show. Insurance is not sexy. It's complicated. I know this personally. I mentioned I worked in it for a year and a half. I was like embarrassed to tell people I was working in insurance. I felt so uncool. But one of the best pieces of entrepreneurial advice I ever got was like, look for problems where no one else is looking. So while all these tech startups are trying to build the next customer relationship management system or the next AI chatbot, look at something like small to mid-size insurance companies because it does not you can introduce a lot of innovation, but it also doesn't take a lot to improve their processes and offer them something better. So how did you decide serving insurance carriers was where you wanted to focus?
Well, it came through a lot of iterations. It didn't start off in insurance. First, when we built out the platform, we first wanted to get into the peer-to-peer market, and we just realized that that market was oversaturated. From there,
Peer-to-peer
COVID.
insurance or
Well, actually,
peer-to-peer?
peer-to-peer payments, and I'm sorry, just taking you back before we got into the insurance vertical. I'm sorry. So just
Yeah.
taking you back. So it was a lot of different iterations before we decided to go after the insurance industry as a digital payment platform. So we started in peer-to-peer, then we pivoted to e-commerce. From
Mm-hmm.
e-commerce, we pivoted into insurance. And how that came about was through a discussion with a mentor and a VC that said, hey, you guys are building something in a really interesting space. Why don't you look into insurance? And so
Mm-hmm.
that's how we stumbled upon the idea of insurance. From there, we had to do a lot of product research, a lot of
Yeah.
customer discovery. And so then from us realizing why insurance had to be the vertical that we went after was based on experience.
Mm-hmm.
So Cody had an experience, who's our CEO. Cody Eddings is our CEO. He had an experience where he had to wait on a check to get some dental work done. And his tooth was really killing him, but not being financially able to get to that point where he can actually make that payment or not be impacted without getting that money back was really an indicator of the pain point that the end user feels.
Yeah.
From there, we started to do more and more research and realize what the process was like handling the claims payments through the claims department. And we just realized that one, it was really messy. It was all over the place. It wasn't really directed to where it needed to be directed. And they were still using checks. Over 50% of the industry was still using checks. In 2023, when a good portion of our population is utilizing a smartphone and using digital payments, it just didn't make any sense. And so we wanted to be a solution for that. When we first started this business, it was always about giving people greater control of their money. And so many people are impacted by insurance that we thought why not actually make a real impact for generations to come? That if we can actually make a change with how you get paid with an insurance payment, just how much better the industry and life will be.
So I think from a policyholder's point of view, we know that the experience needs to get better. Uh, Talk me through from the insurance carrier's point of view. Like, why do they need your help? You said it's messy and they're using checks, but what's going on in the background? Like, what is so messy?
Okay, so what will happen is that let's start off with the point of when the claim is actually filed and processed,
Yeah.
right? You have a claims department that actually gets this file, um, actually hears about the claims. They go through the process. They have to investigate the process first. First, they have to check if they have a policy, investigate the process. Once the process has been approved and they're approved to get their payment, then they have some of the small and mid-sized carriers, they're still utilizing Excel sheets. And then somebody's actually in the back office going or connecting with a checkbook or a check printer that they would actually cash out the checks. Um, it's just a long process that goes into it.
Yeah.
Really, you're going into one system, then you're going to another system, all when it just really is easier for you to just actually have it all in one system until you pay out that claims payment.
Yeah, so for all of you listening, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I talk a lot about how enterprise systems, they were over the past 40, 50 years, they were acquired in silos. And so you have a system for filing claims that isn't connected to the system that holds all of the policy information and isn't connected to the accounting system that writes all the checks. And so every time a person has to move information from one system to another is an opportunity for data to be entered incorrectly or data to be lost, there to be duplicate accounts of the information in places, and that just makes the whole process that much longer. And so are you saying that with SnapRefund you're pulling that all together in the back end?
Yes, we're pulling that all together when it comes to making the payment.
Got it.
So when it's time after the claim has been approved, as opposed to going back and sending out a check, you can choose how you actually want to be paid. So the
Okay.
end user might want to be paid digitally. They want their payments instantly.
Hmm.
Or they might want to check. Being able to have that option is what SnapRefund is able to do.
Okay.
And and just keeping in mind, as I was explaining the claims process, as confusing as it may have sounded, as confusing as it is, and I think that's really important to know why sometimes it takes a really long time for you to get your payment.
Okay. All right. So what kind of insurance companies are you working with?
So right now we have a few potential clients in the pipeline. I
Okay.
cannot reveal who they are until we're signed on the dotted line and actually integrated within their system. But being a part of Techstars Boulder Accelerator, it's really allowed us to dive into our customer discovery, our product market fit, really the research and building and understanding, is insurance really the vertical we need to go after.
Yeah,
And so, but having a few in the pipeline where hopefully we will be launched by the end of the month
that's awesome.
and rolling. And so we're really excited about that.
And are you focused on small and mid-sized carriers? Seems like
We
it would be
are.
really hard to get into like an Independence Blue Cross or an Aetna,
Yeah.
right?
I mean, they're big enough that they have all their own resources, but there's a lot of small and mid-sized insurance carriers that are really serving the good of the people. And being able to empower them and enable their claim management system with the digital payment platform is who we're really looking to go after and provide that service and that product for.
Yeah, so they're interested in providing a more personal relationship. Any
Indeed.
idea how the average person can find some of these smaller carriers? Because it seems like, the Geicos of the world are just like yelling in our face, and we're not similar to like the big financial institutions, and we need to find, the community banks and the credit unions. So how do we find small and mid-sized insurance companies?
Great question. I would Google, I would Yahoo, I would,
That hard.
yeah. But in addition to that, I think it's the beauty of being able to have also healthcare marketplaces. So if
Yeah.
you type in healthcare marketplace or marketplace, insurance marketplace for what your state is, and find what the different carriers or what is the policy that you're looking to get, um, that or the coverage that you're looking to get, I think that's where you should start at.
Mhm.
And then from there, you'll be able to get a ton of information. But I definitely recommend doing your research
Research
because there are a lot of, yes, there are a lot of good insurance carriers out there that can serve your needs.
and provide more personal experience.
Absolutely.
So as
Yes.
policyholders, how can I want to double tap on what you said earlier about like who wants checks, right? Like who's trading in checks these days. So like as policyholders, how can we judge a good insurance experience, or what is your vision for what a good insurance experience should be for policyholders?
I love that. It should be seamless. It should be the minute that an accident happens, I should be able to upload the pictures, explain what happened. If I need to get on the phone with somebody, being able to get on the phone with somebody that really is concerned once they realize that I do have a policy, is concerned about my well being. And then from there, be able to have a seamless process. And when it's time for me to get my payment, to get my payment. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's really what it's about, and just making life a lot more efficient
Mm-hmm.
for things that really do matter.
I have this thought right now. One of the major heuristics in usability is visibility of system status. It's like the progress bar, seeing it
Hmm.
go from 0 to 100%. A lot of people, a lot of apps these days just show like a circling wheel, but that doesn't actually tell you like percent complete. You don't know how long this thing is going to circle for. And it seems like with insurance companies, it would really just be great, one part of the solution. Yes, we want it shorter. Yes, we want it faster. But one part is just even seeing how far along in the process your insurance claim is so that you can have some expectation of when you're going to get paid. And I imagine that that would have been one piece of the puzzle for Cody when he was waiting for his dental payment, is like, when is this happening? When can I expect this money to come in? So that I just thought about that, like, if
No,
we can show the steps and let people know when to expect their money.
I love that because it's so organic, and it's also the reason why we built in a status check into our transaction history. You're able to actually in real time check the status of your payment when
Yeah,
it's awaiting cash out, when it's being ready to be set, when it's in transit, when it's
yeah,
settled. If it's a check that's being sent, do you have the tracking number? With SnapRefund, you could find the tracking number. But the reason why is because of something that you felt. It was something
yeah,
that just made so much sense to you. Why should I not be able to track the status of my payment?
right.
And yeah,
It's the same with
indeed.
like, if you can track your order with DoorDash and see, your order made it to the restaurant accepted it, they're cooking it, it's ready, the driver is on its way to pick it up, the driver has picked it up, the driver is on its way. Like if you can track all of those things, and that's multiple technology systems too, that and multiple people, like we should, it seems like a no-brainer for insurance, we should be able to see where our claim is in the process, right?
I love that because just even hearing you say that, it's so organic, and it's such the reason why we built this solution,
Yeah,
just because of that.
cool.
And yes, the future holds that. So what you just said is in the future,
Yeah.
and it's happening. Yes, it's being built right now.
So what kinds of changes do we need to like speed up your success? You mentioned to me when we first got to know each other that a lot of policy holders and gatekeepers are baby boomers. So there's a little bit of time here and there. The new generation doesn't really use paper checks. So like, what else needs to happen for us to speed up Snap Refund's success?
Opportunities. I think that's really what it boils down to, is just being able to have the right opportunities and to getting in front of decision makers to really explain our solution and have that opportunity to be a powerful solution for them. And where we look at really being having the differentiator is that the product will be superior, it'll be better to use, it'll be a quicker onboarding time. Just everything that you're going through with what you need is what SnapRefund is able to do. And so I think too, it's also being able to have the frame of mind of like, okay, can we be a proactive company? Can we actually be a company that's looking to like, if they're saying this is going to make life easier, actually see, can it make life easier, and then have life be made easier, and then be like, wow, why did we not have this in the first place?
Yeah.
So being open-minded to that as well. And really too, I think what we love is moral support, is also having the support of you, Lindsay. This is so important that it's really just reach one, each one reach one, and we're all just contributing to the success of not only just for SnapRefund, because what's going to happen is we're going to get more competitors, and there's going to be new innovative companies that's going to get into the space because they're going to see the opportunity to build a solution.
Yeah.
But I think it's just going to make the entire industry better, and eventually just make life better. And
Yeah.
it will make life better.
Yeah. I mean, insurance provides a sense of security and stability, and it makes sense that the experience should be really good. It's just currently the industry, kind of trades on that it's really difficult to change insurance providers. And so then the customer experience kind of sucks. But I know from the back end that it's really expensive for insurance companies to acquire new customers. And they need to start to distinguish themselves not by mascots, but by their ability to serve their customers well. So,
Without a doubt.
yeah.
No, you're 100% right.
Proactive insurance companies are the ones that win in the future, and I'm excited for it.
Indeed.
So, Anis, in our final segment, who needs a safety net? In this segment, I ask my guests to share the risks, failures, nay, learning lessons of entrepreneurship and creating their own path into the future. Um, you're coming from the Philly community, where the hungry dog mentality is woven into our DNA. Can you describe that mindset?
Yeah, without a doubt. Just being from Philly and having the experience to go through the losses in an environment where nobody was feeling sorry for you, where it was get
Mhm.
yourself up and keep
You mean like
going.
the startup losses, like the pivots
Oh
you had to
yeah,
go
the
through?
pivots, absolutely.
No one's
And
feeling
be
bad for you each time you had to pivot.
not at all. But then also at the same time having an embracing love of someone saying, well, I know the solution, just do this, but maybe not in a very soothing way. And if you do it, and being able to have the tenacity to continue to go, I think that's really the Philly way. And it's what's contributed to the success of Snap Refund, is because building this business, there was so many barriers in place. I can't even get into the barriers before we could even
Name
launch the
a
platform.
few. Be honest about them. Name a few.
The barriers of actually having the team to build out the technology, and being able to give the opportunity, once you do get that team to build the technology and find a partner to work with. And then the partner has another partner that they work with that doesn't want to allow you to onboard because whatever reason they have. It has absolutely nothing to do with their business. It probably has something to do with their code. But
Yeah.
just first having that barrier when it comes from the technical
So the
standpoint
technical barriers.
to integrate in, there's those barriers. Then the capital barriers is
Sure.
not being able to have the financial resource. We don't look at that first. That's not being from Philly. You can't look at financial resources to be your barrier first.
What do
It's got to be.
you say more there? Say more.
Yeah. So I was just saying, this is why I said it second, the first barrier was the technical barrier, just actually being able to build that out, but then having the resources to build it out, to actually get into capital. You know, we built our company, and our company is based in Philadelphia, but our investors, with the exception of one institution from Philadelphia that is on our cap table, have been from out of Philadelphia. You know, and that's where we've gotten our biggest support and our biggest funds from, our capital, and is really hoping to build us. But it's still it pushes you
Mm-hmm.
being from Philly, because and you're proud to still say that you're building this business in Philly, because you know the impact that you can do, that if you actually are the one that does it right, how much better it's just, yeah, it's just a different type of grit that I can't even really fully explain. You just
So
have
for
to do
yeah.
it and feel it.
For those of you not familiar with the Philly startup community, we do have a decent amount of investment groups, but it's heavily focused in health sciences, pharma and health IT. We definitely have angel investment groups, preference for B2B SaaS over B2C, but that doesn't say much about SnapRefund, but like they also are more conservative, right? You know, it's very few places where an entrepreneur can raise money off of an idea on a napkin and their credentials, right? It's happened in San Francisco and really only happens for white guys, I'll be honest, and maybe in New York once in a while. Seriously, the only guy I know that raised 750,000 without even having a CTO and a product is a white guy in San Francisco who worked for investment groups. So that's the honest truth, right? So in Philly, there is a missing kind of like startup capital piece, because the barrier, angel investors want to see more revenue than other communities. But you also find a lot of support from the Philly community, but not financial. So you had mentioned you went through a lot of small pre accelerators before getting into Techstars. So
100%, yes.
it sounds like the hungry dog mentality is for sure a thing about resilience, right? We tried something, it
I'm
didn't work. We're pivoting. We're trying something again. We're trying a different thing. But talk about and like no one in Philly really feels bad for you because they expect you to pick yourself up and keep going. So what other support did you find in this community besides the financial piece?
So the pre-accelerator support that we gained from Philly and is still continuing to do amazing things in Philly, and we're really grateful for them, is Philly Startup Leaders. We are part of Founded in Philly, of that cohort, which just really is what gave us the early validation of, for the founders, that we were investable.
Mm-hmm.
Because really, everybody can have a good idea, but actually being a founder that someone wants to invest in is a little bit different.
Yeah,
And they gave us the first taste of, hey, you guys are valid. You guys, what
you
you're
got
saying,
something.
and make, you got something, and you guys can do it. And being able to have that support and teaching us the ropes was incredible. We were also part of the Base Accelerator, and the Base Accelerator is an accelerator that's done through Ballard Spar.
Okay,
So being able
that's
to
a
go
law
through.
firm in Philly for anyone that knows. Okay.
Thank you. And who represents SnapRefund, one of the best law firms in the country, and they believed in us. And shout out to our entire legal team there. And in addition to that, being able to get articles written about us through Technically, so getting the support from the tech journalistic community was really important, because just having that moral support and belief in us is what's kept us going. That's really been the fuel of the fire, to be, because it really can make an impact. And when you have someone that believes and doesn't think that you're crazy when you say, no, I really have the solution, and it can work, and this is how you do it, and you start writing it out on the board, and the professor looks at the board and he's like, damn, I guess that is right? X and six.
Yeah.
And now he's thinking of why. And so, yeah, thank you for that. And it's been an important part into our journey.
So you're at Techstars Boulder. You're with entrepreneurs from all around the country. I imagine some are from around the world too. So what? How would you kind of compare and contrast, like what you and Cody bring? Maybe you think it's a Philly thing, maybe you don't. But yeah, talk to us about the entrepreneurial style and maybe what you're starting to see as like unique about you and your team.
I think first and foremost, it's the passion for the solution that we're trying to solve and trying to build.
Hmm.
I think really being able to be convicted in that
Hmm.
and believe in that is an important thing. And doing the work to showcase that we can actually do this, you know, that's really what I feel has really given us a great sense of hope in what we've seen. And then two is doing the work.
Hmm.
It really comes down to doing the work. The one thing that I can say about if you want, and this is to all founders out there and technical founders, the proof is in the pudding. You know, when you're working and you're really building a product, if you say, hey, I got this great idea, I want to build this product that does X, Y, and Z. And every time you're talking to that person, you're showing a new iteration of what it looks like, and it's consistently improving.
100%. Yeah.
These are the steps to success. You know, I say all the time, the biggest tree that we see out here was once a seed. And if
Hmm.
you're willing to allow yourself to grow and get the water and the nutrients to really build and be that tree, those are the steps that it takes. And that's what we do. We work hard. We're usually trying to be the first in the office when it's time for us to work. And when it's time for us to leave, we want to be the last. We want to consistently think about what are the things that we're missing, how can we improve.
100.
And so I think it's bringing that in, and a lot of that too is that we know being a company based in Philly that we have to really represent too. So that has something to do with it.
Yeah, I love that. I think something that you hit on that I just want to explain to the audience, especially the proof in the pudding. Okay, yeah, like we all have heard the saying, like ideas are ideas. You have to build something, right? And until I heard a Philly based investor, and I thought this was aggressive, but I also loved it. He's like, every business is an idea until there's revenue, right? And I think in other startup communities that would be seen as like too aggressive of a definition, but it's true. You could have like a whole team and everything built, but if like you're not making money, it's still just like an idea. um, but that one investor, he also said something that I've carried with me and shared with every founder that I've worked with, is that and it combined it with stuff I know, but like relationships are the key to your success, right? Whether it's advisors, other founders, investors, customers, potential employees, mentors, etc. Relationships are the key to your success. Relationships are based on two things: time and trust, right? So, like, you build a relationship because you build trust over time. Multiple interactions of you saying you're going to do X and following through. Then someone trusts you. So with investors, it's like the first conversation is not, hey, give me money, right? You ask for money, you get advice, right? You ask for advice, you tell them you're going to hit some milestone. And then when you follow up with them, you have what your outcomes were, and that is really really important. These things build up over time. We're going to have weeks and weeks where the milestones seem minuscule, but then we're going to have some week where it all just explodes, and it's that consistency that builds up over time, right? Do you see that in your
I
experience?
oh, without a doubt, I love that. You are the company you keep.
Yeah.
Really, you know,
Yeah.
if you want to get a good idea of where you're at, look around, look at your circle. Just,
Yeah.
you know, not that's so important. And so being able to have the right mentors in place is really important. And so, yeah, there's no doubt.
What motivates you to keep taking risks and to go bigger? Is it purely personal, or is there some altruism for other founders too?
Wow, that's a great question. Um, I think, and maybe the founders out there, they can understand it. It's just something inside. It's like really something inside where if your heart was a map, what you're passionate about and building is that X on the map, and
Mm-hmm.
you're trying everything you can internally to get to that X on the map. And with just so happens in us being in the insurance industry and trying to make the impact that we have on the insurance industry, it also stems from my parents
Mm-hmm.
and having really amazing parents that I saw be as servants and were serving
Mm-hmm.
in their day-to-day efforts. I think that also lends into the type of company that you build and the reason why you want to do it. And so those are the things I think that keeps me going. But it's that X. It's
Yeah.
the X in the heart.
Do you have any specific advice? I like threw it out there that a lot of the um, big stories of startup success from the quote unquote Silicon Valley world, uh, like getting funded off the back of a napkin, is really only for a select few. Do you have any specific advice for like underrepresented founders or other founders that are coming from smaller communities, or smaller startup communities?
Yeah, absolutely. And women as well. You know, just minorities, anybody out there that feels that they're underrepresented in being a founder and being an entrepreneur, please don't let nothing stop you. Please, you have a whole community out there that would support you. And believe it or not, when you just get into the entrepreneurship landscape and you meet the right people, it blurs any color line. Before, like the beginning of time, there was traders that was working off of a barter system,
Mm-hmm.
and there was no color lines when they were entrepreneurs because they were really trying to do something they were passionate about, and that continues to hold true today. So if it's in you, like I said, if it's in that heart of yours and it's in you got that map, go do it. That's the beauty of the journey, is you really don't know where it's going to take you. But I do say too, do something good. Be impactful in a positive way. When you keep that in mind and making sure that you're on the right side of justice with whatever you're doing, you'll see the benefits of that, and it will be great, and it will have great outcomes.
Yeah. I love it. That's a great note to end on. So let's just make it make sense. We've got passionate entrepreneurs like Anise and his co-founder Cody pushing for a better customer experience with insurance, getting us paid quicker, giving us a little more visibility into the process. I'm so excited for that future. Thank you for listening to Make Sense with me, your host, Lindsay Tabus, and guest Anise Taylor. Anise, where can people find you online?
Absolutely. You can find me on LinkedIn, just Anise Taylor, and that's ANIS, Taylor, TAYLOR. You can check us out on SnapRefund.io, and that's Snap, SNAPREFUND.io. Yeah, please check us out. Connect with me if there's any help that I can be for you and provide for you. Please reach out. And thank you so much too, Lindsay. I really appreciate it. Wow, I wasn't expecting so many great questions. You really threw me off with so many of them, but they were great questions. I had such a good time. So thank you
Fun
so
to think
much.
about. So, as always, you can check out all the links and resources in the show notes. We hope you enjoyed our take on the future of insurance. Final note, if you want to continue to be the smartest person in the room, make sure you're getting notified when each episode hits on YouTube. Hit subscribe for next week's episode, and for audio only, follow wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you, Anise, for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.